Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video about Nonstop Sports titled The Craziest Conspiracy Theories in NBA History, man. So I will say, when it comes down to conspiracy theories, there is one that I actually kind of do lean towards to, man. And that is, the Kyrie Irving flat earth theory. And the reason I say that is, it's really taking a lot of testing and concluding to get to this hypothesis. And the thing is, when I play basketball, every single time, man, I get my ankles crossed up there. I literally get sent to the floor, okay? And my defensive posture is fine. The issue, I think, is that what I'm having is my gravitational mindset. So, if my mindset says that we are rotating on this round earth, gravitationally pulled around the sun, but in reality, we are more teeter-tottering like that on the flat earth, my balance and gravitational mindset is concluding that we are spinning, but we're doing that, and therefore throwing off my balance, leading to me being crossed with basketball, man. Only explanation I have. Let's go ahead and check these out.
Sports are breeding grounds for conspiracy theories, and these are the NBA's
Which ones you all believe in, man?
Years. 1985 NBA
Draft lottery rigged.
The NBA Draft Lottery is meant to be one of the most random events
why the
in
Pistons
all
got
sports,
fifth,
as its name alludes to. But that may not have always been the
Y'all
case.
didn't want
Heading into the
Paolo
1985 draft,
Cade.
there was a consensus #1 overall pick in Patrick Ewing. The big man out of Georgetown was billed as the league's next superstar, with the ability to carry the weight of a franchise on his broad shoulders. Back then, one envelope for each team in the lottery was placed in a transparent ball, and NBA Commissioner David Stern would pick them out.
Okay.
There are two leading theories to how Stern went about rigging this. The first involves a creased corner on the Knicks envelope, and the second is that the Knicks one was frozen ahead of time. Either ploy would have very subtly let Stern know which envelope belonged to New York, adding more cause for suspicion. The accounting firm—
Alright, I don't really believe in that second part right there, because I feel like he would have been feeling them up, you know what I'm saying? Like, feeling for that temperature. And, plus I also don't think paper holds temperature very well, so I'm sure that, that stuff would have warmed up pretty quickly. So, the folded corner, though, that one could be very true.
The firm in charge of the lottery, Ernst & Whitney, was the auditing firm for Gulf and Western, who owned the Knicks. It was even an
Patrick
Ernst
Ewing
&
was
Whitney
good,
employee
but
who put the envelopes
I ain't rigging
into
no
the
draft
ball.
lottery
So,
for him.
why would Stern and the league care about this? With New York being one of the biggest market franchises, the Knicks being competitive would do wonders for television ratings. And the NBA just so happened to be working on a new TV deal at the time. At the time, Stern didn't even deny allegations, saying, "If people want to say that it was fixed, fine. As long as they spell our name right, that means they're interested in us. That's terrific." Reflecting on the claims it was rigged,
Yeah, I know about
Ewing's
that.
agent David Falk said, "I'm not saying it happened," and took a long dramatic pause before adding, "But that theory is plausible." Rigged or not, the NBA came out a winner.
Yeah, that's
Ewing
lame if it
quickly
is.
lifted the Knicks out of the Eastern Conference cellar and into consistent championship contention. Why MJ first retired. There's a difference between going out on top and retiring during one's
Yo, didn't you,
prime,
owe some money or
especially when
something?
it involves one of the most competitive athletes of all time. In October of 1993,
Man, let's play some
Michael
poker.
Jordan shocked the sporting world by abruptly retiring from the NBA. He had just led his Bulls to 3 straight titles and was coming off winning an Olympic gold medal with the '92 Dream Team, in addition to passing on a chance to etch his name in NBA history by winning 4 straight rings. MJ also chose to hang up his shoes after a season in which he averaged 32.6
I think you just want to try out baseball.
6.7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game. There's no debating Michael had plenty left in the tank, and just as much to play for. But at that time, Jordan cited a lack of desire to play the game, stemming from his father's death 3 months earlier. However, what some think actually happened was David Stern and MJ came to an agreement behind the scenes, where Jordan would serve a secret 1-year suspension because of gambling problems.
Yup.
What was not secret was that MJ was just as competitive off the court with bets as he was on it, except he didn't experience nearly the same level of success. Some of his absurd gambling losses have been well documented. Like when
I ain't gonna lie, when you got that much money, it feels like gambling wouldn't be as fun. I don't know. It seems like at that point, it wouldn't be about the money. It'd be more so just about, the competitiveness nature of it, which I guess makes sense with MJ.
a businessman wrote a book claiming Jordan owed him over $1.25 million from lost golf wagers. The theory is
Damn.
that Stern believed the NBA's image was so fragile and
a lot of
important at
money.
the time that having its star player being depicted as a degenerate gambler would severely hurt the league. So, he told Michael to take a year to clean
put
his
a
act
damn $10
up
bill in
before
the slot
returning as
machines,
a
I'm
hero
done.
to save the Bulls. The Morris twins. At some point in everyone's life, they have met a pair of identical twins who they can't always tell apart. A pair of
both played for the
NBA twins
Pistons and
who
both
may have
were
used
equally
this to
garbage.
their advantage in the
No, they were
playoffs.
alright.
In Game 1,
Marcus was better. Markieff had moments.
the 2017 Eastern Conference semifinals, the Wizards' Markieff Morris suffered what appeared to be a severe ankle injury.
Yo, I
He
hope
left
this one's
the game
true.
and didn't return before miraculously recovering for Game 2, where he showed
Not laughing
no
at the
signs
injury,
of the
obviously.
injury, while putting up 16 points and 6 rebounds in 26 minutes. It was the best Markieff had looked all playoffs. This left people wondering whether or not it was really Markieff.
Yo, it was
out there,
Marcus!
Or if Marcus, whose season was already over with the Pistons, had stepped in acting as his brother. Similarities in their playing styles and jump shots are almost as striking as their physical appearance. Although it's crazy to consider them attempting to pull this off, it actually wouldn't be the first time they pulled this stunt. They did it one time while playing AAU basketball when they were kids. Markieff had fouled out of a game, and then Marcus hurt his ankle, so they quickly swapped jerseys on the bench without anyone noticing.
That's pretty cool.
2002 Western Conference Finals,
C-Web.
Game 6. While fans routinely blame their favorite team's losses on the refs, sometimes there's enough to the story that even impartial fans find it to be foul play. Heading into Game 6 of the 2002
My younger brother
Western
used to
Conference
love using
Finals,
Mike Baby in
the Kings
2K.
held a 3-2
He dropped
series
50
lead
on
over
me
the
from the game.
Lakers. The Kings were one quarter of basketball away from heading to their first NBA Finals since 1951. With the game tied, the referees decided to delay Sacramento's return to the Finals at least another game. In the fourth quarter of Game 6, the Lakers shot 27 free throws compared to the
free
Kings'
throws.
9, as LA went on to win by 4 points. One particular
Man, it's
moment
licking
from the
his
game
shoulder.
sticks out, where Kobe Bryant shoved and elbowed Mike Bibby, but a foul was called on Bibby, thus denying the Kings of a chance to tie the game. Although the free throw
Superstar call.
discrepancy and that play were topics of conversation at the time, it was nothing more than just talk. There was no hard evidence the game was rigged, so that the Lakers would win and force a Game 7. However, in 2008, that all changed when former NBA ref Tim Donaghy alleged in a court filing that 2 of the 3 officials from that game went out of their way to determine its outcome. Donaghy claimed the refs were instructed by the
Yo,
league
that's so
to
damn
prolong the
lame.
series
That's
in
so
any way
lame.
necessary. Upon hearing
Can you
Donaghy
imagine being so full of yourself like that, where it's just like you like there's millions of people and all these players and everybody's working their asses off, and then you want to do stuff like that? Like, it's really disgusting. It really is.
these allegations years later, Kings center Scott Pollard, who fouled out during Game 6, said, "My first thought was, I knew it. I'm not going to say there was a conspiracy. I just think something wasn't right. It was unfair. We didn't have a chance to win that game. The league's reason for
Yeah, I remember
forcing
one
a
time I
game
was playing in a basketball game, and just because I'm short, like there was this dude on the fast break, and I was just like, I'm not gonna block him, so I literally stepped back 2 feet. It's 2 feet, man, and I got called for a foul. Like. It's BS,
seven
man. I
involved
still think
money,
about
just
that
like almost
at least
every
twice a
decision
week.
they make. The TV revenue from the
Literally
additional
step
game,
back 2
and also
feet,
the
man.
chance that one of
Put
their
my hands
biggest
down like
markets
this.
in LA
I
returned
whistled.
to the finals instead of a small one like Sacramento was worth risking their reputation. The flu game. Although basketball fans know exactly what game and
Yeah,
performance
this gotta be
those
true,
two words
right?
refer to, they
sure
may
was
not be
sick.
accurate. Game 5 of the 1997 NBA Finals involved one of the most iconic performances of all time by Michael Jordan. As the story goes, MJ led his team to a victory on the road
Man
over
was
the
sick.
Jazz. After having thrown up all night
Literally
before
and
the game,
figuratively.
needing to be hooked up to IVs in the Bulls locker room. Jordan was so drained after Game 5 that he couldn't even speak to the media, yet he still managed to play 44 minutes and score 38 points, including hitting the game-icing shot. While MJ was obviously very ill, it wasn't exactly clear what the cause was at the time. But then NBC Sports
Did he have a tummy
broadcaster
ache?
Marv Albert before the game reported Jordan was experiencing flu-like symptoms. So the name and story took off from there.
Was it
In
COVID?
2013, MJ's trainer Tim Grover recounted what happened the night before the game and confirmed a growing suspicion that had developed. Grover said Jordan had ordered a pizza late night before Game 5. He described how 5 people showed up to deliver it, which gave him a bad feeling at the time about the situation. Grover confidently asserts that it was food poisoning, not the flu. In the Last Dance documentary,
Yo,
MJ
y'all ever see SpongeBob with the Nasty Patty? If you all Nasty Patty that pizza, I swear, man, like that's just like disgusting. You don't mess somebody's food like that.
admitted to eating the pizza, implying it was food poisoning. But the question remains,
Could
was
just
it
been trash food,
intentionally
too.
done? Did some local Jazz fans take matters into their own hands and try to help their team win a title? It was well known where the Bulls were staying at the time, and 5 people showing up
actually
to deliver
gross.
a pizza late at night is far from normal behavior. Chris Paul, trade veto. In 2011, a
I
trade
will say though, like if you know, if you're working at like damn Little Caesars or something like that, and you're like, hey, got an order from Michael Jordan, and you know he's in town, like I could see I could see a few buddies wanting to go along too. Like And sometimes pizza can just make you sick. Like, I've had pizza that made me sick before. Like, it does happen.
Was agreed to that would have paired one of the best all-time point guards with one of the most feared scorers.
Yeah, this won't be
but
us.
It didn't go through,
as in, like,
potentially because of
it sucks
spite.
they did this.
The New Orleans Hornets and the Los Angeles Lakers agreed to a blockbuster deal centered on Chris Paul joining Kobe Bryant in the purple and
Dude
gold.
would have had 3
David
rings.
Stern ended up vetoing it. At the time, the league owned a majority stake in the Hornets, as the franchise sought out a new owner. Because of that, Stern technically did nothing wrong and had the right to veto a trade, but his reason for doing so might not have been ethical. While Stern claimed he was protecting the Hornets and had their best interests in mind, others viewed it to be a perfectly legitimate trade. The Hornets would have received plenty of talent in exchange for CP3. Stern supposedly ran the trade package by an ex-general manager at the time, who said that it would have been enough to make the Hornets a playoff team. Having denied fans the chance to see such a dynamic and exciting pairing in CP3 and Kobe in what seemed to be a fair trade, Stern and the league faced plenty of scrutiny. The theory is
some damn
that
fantasy
Stern
basketball.
wanted the Hornets to appear more attractive and valuable to prospective buyers, so they needed a star player like CP3 on the roster.
Yeah, but if you know CP3's pissy, then you ain't gonna want to be part of that. Like, I'd much rather buy into a team that's in, like, a good, solid rebuild, just got some good young pieces, and you can, you know, put the team in your image, as opposed to having, you know, a superstar that's disgruntled. Like,
Hornets post-trade would have been good, but not good enough to drive up the franchise's value. While CP3 was then traded to the Clippers just a few days later, the Clippers deal included a first-round pick that was likely to be one of the first picks of the draft. This was something that Stern could use to sell potential buyers on. The pick ended up becoming the first overall selection, which was used on Anthony Davis. Still think the draft lottery is random? 2014 NBA Finals, Game 1. Playing mind games with opponents is nothing out of the ordinary in sports. Sometimes teams can toe the line in the process.
Was this the LeCramp
game? Game 1 of the 2014 Finals between the Spurs and Heat, an electrical failure at the Spurs AT&T Center led to the air conditioner failing and the building reaching temperatures in the 90s.
Ugh.
While this theoretically would impact both teams, one star player...
I know we've all, you know, hooped at the YMCA or, you know, local gym when that AC's out or something. That air is breathing heavy, man. Like, it's rough. It is
more
rough.
Prone to feeling greater effects than anyone else. LeBron already had a well-documented history of cramping in big games. He first experienced this in the 2009
I cramp up
Eastern
like
Conference
crazy, too.
Finals, before suffering from it again in the 2012 Finals. In 2012, the cramping got so bad,
your legs like
LeBron
lock up.
had to be carried off the court by Juwan Howard. He kept having to leave Game 1 against the Spurs due to cramping, before eventually sitting out the final 4 minutes. Spurs players, on the other hand, seemed unbothered. Tony Parker said, "Felt like Europe. We never had AC in Europe, so it didn't bother me at all." Manu Ginobili added, "I've played more years in situations like this than with AC on the court. Not a big deal in that case."
Damn.
So, did the Spurs go out of their way to try to trigger another series of cramps for the King, knowing their players
That
could
one's a bit of a
handle it,
stretch,
or did
I
they
think.
just
I think there's
benefit from a
electrical
random
issues.
occurrence? Either way, they took full advantage of LeBron sitting out the final 4 minutes of the game, going on a 16-3 run over that period to take a 1-0 series lead. The Heat's Big Three. What was meant
Called
to
the
seem
Heat.
like a spontaneous decision made on national TV may have been the result of years of scheming by three friends. In 2010, when LeBron decided to take his talents to South Beach with his infamous nationally televised ESPN event labeled The Decision, his move to form a Big Three with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh was meant to seem like a surprise. In reality, though, it all began in 2004 when LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh
2004?
played as teammates on the U.S. Olympic team. The trio supposedly hit it off immediately and loved playing together, but they were under contract with 3 different NBA teams at the time, so it was nothing more than
We all had the
summer
number 2 pick over in Detroit, too, hanging out. Y'all could have just came and joined up over there at the same time. That would have been fine.
Then in 2006, the Big
play with
Three showed
Darko.
their cards some, as they all signed extensions for the exact same...
Low-key, that's actually a nice team. Chauncey Billups, Dwayne Wade, LeBron at the 3, Melo at the 4. No, wait. Sorry, Chauncey. Dwayne Wade, Carmelo at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Chris Bosh at the 4, and Darko at the 5.
length with their respective teams. Once those contracts expired,
Y'all
in
keep
2010,
Melo.
they joined
We'll have
forces
Chauncey
in
at point
Miami,
guard.
forming a polarizing super team. While the group attempted to play it off as a coincidence, Knicks superfan Spike Lee wasn't buying it whatsoever. Lee said, "This is nothing but a pure Corleone gangster move. It was laid out. This didn't happen by happenstance. They made people look like idiots. They had the thing planned out 2 years ago." Cavs
Okay, that's fine and everything like that. But at the same time, too, I feel like, you know, it's only rigged when it's happening to you. Like, I wasn't calling, the NBA draft rigged when the Pistons got the first pick, but when they got that 5th pick, I was like, yo, man, what's going on here? What's going on here, man? But looks like that is actually the end of the video, guys. That's all we got. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.